Ooh, official. Well, good evening. Like I said, tonight we're going to talk about surfing the urge. We're going to talk about a way how we can handle those habits that we're trying to get rid of, those urges. I don't know if you're like me, and every once in a while you want to eat the cake or the cookies or the chips, or there's something that's calling you. You can't really see it from where I'm sitting, but behind me is the free food desk at work. And so when I'm in the office, I have all day, I'm looking at that. Oop, where'd I go? All day I'm looking at and hearing people grab food all day. So that's something that it then makes me think that I want to eat that cookie or that cake or that chip that I said no to the first time I got my food, or I packed and brought my lunch and I said no to initially. So this is really important part of our journey. And this is actually, it started as a meditation practice in the 60s. So it's something that you may be familiar with. Maybe you've heard before. Has anybody heard of Surf the Urge? Is that a concept anybody's heard of before? No? Okay, well, don't worry. And if you're not really big into meditation yet, this can still be something beneficial for you. So I want you to think at whatever that bad habit is that you're trying, that addictive habit, that impulse, whatever that urge is, that cookie, that cake, that drive through, whatever it is that's calling you, that's jumping up to you in your life. Think of it as a wave. Okay. And so I have this beautiful graphic here for you. We think about it a wave. I think that so often we have that craving and we're like, we have it, we have it, we have it. And then we just end up giving up because it's so intense. And we just think, I'm just going to eat the stupid cookie. It's not worth it, or whatever the case may be. And I think putting a different frame on it, changing the perspective on what happens, what's actually happening, is really helpful. And so if we look at it, it's actually studies show that those cravings, the intensity builds like a wave. So you get that initial trigger. Either you stop working and you have that feeling you want that glass of wine, or you're at a dinner and you start to have that idea that you want a dessert or appetizers, or you see somebody with something or it's sitting next to you and you want it. And it starts initially kind of slow. It doesn't usually hit with a bang, right? And then statistically, for 20 or 30 minutes is that hardest time. That's when it's building up like a wave. And at the peak is usually when we throw our hands up and just go have the cookie or five. And really when we throw it away. And in reality, if we could breathe through, take a moment and get through that peak of the wave and get to the other side, it would subside again. Because it's not like Niagara Falls dumping constantly. We're not going to have that intense craving and that intense need for that item for 24/7. I mean, if we do, Alana talks about in the To Be mindset, she talks about if you're really wanting something that bad that you're fixated on it, enjoy it, but then eat it slowly, take a bite, put the fork down, really feel the flavor and enjoy it. And don't shame yourself for enjoying it. You don't want to stay fixated on something for 24/7 for weeks. But when we're talking about those daily things where you've had dinner every night the last 2 weeks and you're like, you know what, I'm done overeating. I am done having dessert every night. I've done it for the last 2 weeks. I'm just done with that. How do I stop this habit? This is how you can do that. So knowing that statistically, if you don't act on it, it is not going to stay forever, can help you in that moment. And so what you think about is you think about you being in control. You're riding that wave, acknowledging that the craving intensity is going to get more intense. It's not about trying to push it down and suppress it and ignore it, because that doesn't really make it go away. That doesn't stop the wave from building up. If you think about a dam, it doesn't stop the water from flowing and building up. It's still going to build up. However, the way to work through this to a win is to ride it through and to feel it. That when you have that really intense craving, knowing and telling yourself, okay, this is just going to be about 20 or 30 minutes. I can breathe in, feel it, and breathe out. And that's kind of where the meditation comes. this would actually be a really great time to jump on the on-demand app and do one of the 4-minute I am meditations. Maybe I am in control, or I am thriving, or I am positive. They're just 4 minutes long, and to help kind of direct your focus and how you're feeling that craving. And there's also a lot of meditations on YouTube. In fact, I checked, and Surf the Urge, there are actually meditations called Surf the Urge on YouTube, because this has been around since the 60s. So there's lots of options for you to try to surf through that struggle. And then just breathing and feeling it and saying, okay, it's not a waterfall. It's not going to never end. I can get through this. Do I really want this cake? Do I really want this cookie? No, it's not going to get me any closer to my goals. It's not going to change what I did. Like we talk about, if you want something different, you have to change something, right? So if nothing changes, they're not going to be different results. So if I do what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, eating dessert after dinner, I'm not going to get different results. So I don't need this. I don't need this dessert. I can work through this wave. And then after you work through the wave, it's not easy all the time. It's not that it even gets easy super fast, but what you repeat gets stronger. And if you can surf that wave and you can get through that wave, every time that you do, it gets a little stronger. And you can even have some fun with celebrating the surf. You can grab a vase or a mason jar or a glass or a basket or a bucket, and anything from coins. We've done marbles and pretty stones. Every time that you successfully make it that 30 minutes and move on through that craving, track it. Give yourself a visual of, being able to get through that. So you can say, I am making it through. And the more that you do it, what we repeat gets stronger. So that's going to be the same for giving into the temptation or the urges or those heavy cravings. They're going to have a stronger loophole. And all that is a habit loop. It's just not a habit that you want to reproduce. And so the way that you finish a habit loop, because your brain gets to this place, it wants to do it again, to ride the wave through the urge and have your brain complete the loop, marking it on your to-be tracker right at the bottom. I should have had mine out. I already packed up so that I am going home when we get off the call. But right at the bottom where it says, why was today good? You can see this is tomorrow's. Why was the day good? You can write down, what wave you surfed through. What did you win through? Or get yourself a fun jar and some coins or marbles or pretty stones, maybe stones that you collect on a walk that you started taking, and start putting it into your jar to kind of represent that habit loop closing. Some great tips that I've learned in To Be Mindset and on this journey when you're working through those new habits that you're trying to build, doing the dishes or taking the shower is a really great interferer of those habits that aren't serving you. Your brain is trying to complete a loop, and there's something about taking dishes from dirty to clean that helps your brain cycle a loop and move through and past that craving urge to get over that wave. So I'm hoping that this was helpful, and I was hoping that we could brainstorm maybe some common urges that come up, and I can throw the whiteboard here that we can just brainstorm together some ideas of a kind of attacking those, or not attacking them per se, but how to breathe through them. What could we redirect to, or what are some times that we want to catch and say, hey, yeah, I'm feeling this is when I would usually go for the extra dessert, and I don't want to do that this time. So how can I breathe through it? How can I walk through it? So feel free to unmute or add it into the chat. Let's open up the conversation.
For me, it's definitely the after dinner. And I do have one question.
Sure.
So, and I'll tell you, and I'll make excuses for myself. Case in point, I will tell you, I ate Ken's ice cream while he was in the hospital. And that was my excuse. Well, my husband's in the hospital, so I deserve this. So then and after dinner snacking or after dinner desserts really is a thing for me. So then like I try to substitute with something that's healthier. But I don't know if that's the right thing to do, because that I feel like it doesn't necessarily work that well, because it's not working on the habit that I have of snacking after dinner by just replacing it with something healthier. What do
Okay.
you think about that?
So I hear a couple things in what you're sharing, and so I am so glad that you shared with us too. I'm so glad that Ken's home, but
Yeah.
I'm hearing a little bit of habitual eating, like
Mm-hmm.
it's something I've always done. I've always done it. I've always done it, and it's something. Also, it sounds almost a little emotional, like
Mm-hmm.
you were giving yourself permission to kind of address what was, I have no doubt, stressful
Mm-hmm.
and scary. So food will never solve the emotional side. And so I know I'm not saying like it's always going to be perfect and we're always going to be able to overcome, but having some plans, if it is emotional, something else to try. Snuggle a blanket on couch. Um, Reading or playing a puzzle or game with your little. Calling a friend. Lighting a candle. Journaling. That maybe when we can find something that would help work through that emotion, going for a walk, that we can overcome that. And I think this is something else too, if you're kind of along the line, someone else was asking about if you're feeling lonely and then eating junk food because you're feeling lonely. And so
Mm-hmm.
like kind of that's sort of a sense of control. I have no control over what's happening over here. I'm not going to deprive myself and feel like I have no control. So I'm going to eat whatever I want. And it's kind of having to catch that emotion and find a way to work through it. And again, it's about what happens most often. I went through a lot of emotional things when I lost my stepfather, and that's where I identified my emotional eating as far as needing physical touch. And so I was able to work through that. Did I have the ice cream sundae and the cookies at his service and at the family dinners after? I did. I did. I didn't continue it every day after. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
let it be in that moment. And then I learned something about myself, that I really need physical touch. I need that hug. I need that, hand on someone's thigh or an arm on my son's shoulder. And so if I could have had my son on my lap at the viewing instead of the cookie, I would have physically felt better, but I was trying to feed that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely it's a few nights. It's not something that you have to keep going, but now have you started the habit of, well, now every night I just have the ice cream. And that's what we wanted. Then the other part is identify is, do I really need it? There's a woman that used her tracker and she said, I am not giving up my Dove frozen ice cream candy. So I guess Dove has these like bonbons, kind of like, it reminds me of the show The Bundys. Peg used to eat bonbons. I guess Dove has like
Yeah.
versions where it's like a
Mm-hmm.
Dove, it's a mini Dove with ice cream in it. And it's not big. It's not a whole honking ice cream. It's just a little thing. She said, every night I have two. I'm not giving up my Dove. I promised no matter what I would do, I wouldn't give up my Dove. And she was able to evict her 100 pounds eating Dove every night, because in the grand scheme of things, that teeny tiny isn't what was, she didn't gain 100 pounds by eating two Dove, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
she didn't have to give it all up. But we do need to just track it and see what happens and is it serving me? You know, do I feel better? Am I now feeling better, or am I waking up sluggish and less feeling, you know, not as strong, and trying to then have to work harder the next day, or beating myself up because I'm not reaching a scale goal. Like, we have to just be mindful of where it's taking us. And so I would say that's where we can look at how much water we're getting in and what we're eating during the day to see if we're eating enough, or is any of the after dinner eating true hunger mixed with the habits. So that's a great question. I'd love, does anybody have any other tips or experiences of overcoming or working through any of that they want to offer some of their advices?
Mine is, hi ladies, mine is more just like a struggle, like, because I've been binge eating, watching television, and it's just like with smokers, like if you go into a car, you know, it kind of triggers like wanting to smoke. And then for me, it's like when I watch television, it triggers like I want to eat and binge eat, because it's like so entertaining while, if you eat while you're watching television. So how do you fix that?
We had a failed hashtag called puzzles not pretzels where we were having like those snacking things. It's a great question, and you are not alone. That's one of the biggest things, the nighttime snacking that we're used to, because we don't even notice it, and it's part of our senses. Then if you think about, I mean, my family literally says you're breaking the law if you go to the movie theater and don't get a soda and popcorn. Like, you're breaking the law is the verbiage that we've passed to each other. And I feel like that's a lot of like the unspoken agreement that we have with TV. We see if there's commercials or there's food placement in the show, it's comforting, it's keeping us a little more active, because the TV does kind of put us in a little bit of a hypnosis. So there is some truth to that. The first thing I would want to know too is, can you share if you're the one bringing the snacks, or if you have a significant other that's eating snacks next to you and you can't stop eating their snacks?
It was David, my husband. He just all of a sudden like started buying really bad stuff, and that's what got me on this weird spiral that I'm in now.
So I have that with my husband. I actually hide the chips and the popcorn and all the stuff he buys behind the jalapenos in the top shelf in the cabinet in my kitchen, and behind the towels and things at top of the fridge, so I'm not seeing them. Because if I see it, by the 10th time I go in the kitchen, I will, oh, I can just have a handful of chips. And we can have some chips. But as far as serving my goals and what will make me feel best, it's not something that should control me. So a couple tips on that is, I make sure I have like a big mug of warm hot tea, and we call like hold the steering wheel, where you have so many great herbal blends, and I'm sure you have so many delicious teas in your house, I'm assuming. You could do something with your essential oils and make a tea, make something that's aroma pleasing, but that wouldn't go well with whatever he's snacking on. So for example, if you brush your teeth and then you go eat a candy bar, it tastes horrible. So try to maybe pair a tea that you can hold on to and sip slowly, that wouldn't really go with whatever he's munching on, to help you. One thing that I do also is getting myself at a different part of the couch or a different level. So sometimes I grab the foam roller and we watch a movie with me sitting on the floor foam rolling, and he's up on the couch with his snacks. So I can still touch his leg. He's still within like snuggle distance. And even then, when I'm done, I can like lean over and I snuggle into him, but I'm not having to peripherally see the snacks where they're like drawing me in. Because sometimes that 10 degrees difference of not looking, it's out of sight, out of mind. And then also, maybe sitting on a separate couch, sitting at the other end and snuggling up with a blanket that you can play with. Something that has really helped me as well is brushing my teeth as soon as I'm done eating. Just because, if I eat that, I'm going to have to brush my teeth again. Or if the toothpaste has a lot of flavor or mint, and like we make our own with coconut oil and mint and baking soda, and it doesn't taste good to like mix food with. So maybe you can brush your teeth before you go in. There's some great fidget spinner things. I don't know if you knit or crochet at all, but that's something that, you can keep your hands busy, and you wouldn't want to get salt or grease or anything like that on your product that you're making. And so that's something that you could keep yourself busy while you're watching the TV to kind of take you through those moments. I think the first thing like that I do is I have a big glass of water before I know it's coming. Like, it's not a surprise to me that it's movie night and we're going to enjoy date time and watch a movie, and he's going to have tons of snacks. So I have to first decide I'm not going to have any of the snacks and be okay with it. Know that I have fed myself to feel full and satisfied. I've ate enough for the day. I have a full glass of water, and then I decide, okay, what's going to be my helper? Am I going to grab a blanket to snuggle? Am I going to have the herbal tea? Can I be doing something with my hands to keep me busy? Or can I, sit on the floor and foam roll and kind of stretch myself out? So is any of that something you think you can try this week?
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much. That's really great advice. I like the first one, especially where it's like you eat something that wouldn't taste good with what your mind is on eating.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one, because I have the cinnamon oil, so I could probably put that. And I know you like advise not to drink the shakes at night, but every once in a while when I have like a chocolate or dessert craving, I'll have a little bit of the shake, and that helps me like not eat the dessert.
That's a great answer. You can do half a scoop of shake with frozen bananas and make like a nice cream. You can even stir it in some plain Greek yogurt or something like that and have it for dessert for sure. If you're very sensitive to the vitamins in the plants, it may keep you up a little if you have it after 7. So it's just something to be aware of for your body. But for sure, if you're going to have the caffeine of an actual chocolate cake or an actual candy bar, I'm sure you can handle the shake as an alternate healthy choice. So that's a great tip too. I love it. Anybody else?
Adult coloring books.
Ooh, great tip.
That keeps your hands busy when you're watching television.
I actually have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, in the past, whenever I've had a withdrawal from medication because of pregnancy or whatever, the only way I can think of it is like it's an addiction. You just gotta sit there and deal with it. Would that be a negative way to think about it? Like, especially if if I just want something sweet, that I'm not truly hungry, that I really have eaten, I have drank enough. Would that be a bad way to think of it?
I don't. If you're working through it, like if you're feeling it and not giving it in, knowing that there's going to be some hard, there's going to be some suck. And I mean, it is change. We're changing habits, but I would just see if we could go a step further and maybe add in, what can I add in to move forward? Like, what one thing can I do? Can I make it through this wave? And then how can I celebrate it? And then just giving yourself, like, considering it, because it is very close. What you're describing is very close to riding the wave. I think it's just an easier way to embrace the wave of the urge is so strong, and not giving up and breaking down. If you think about grabbing a boogie board and riding it forward, you're going to get to the beach.
Yeah, I just don't want to have like a negative association in my head, because food isn't a bad thing. It's just something I need to have more control. So I don't want to make a flip in my head that, now and suddenly it's all negative, because that's not a good positive thing either. And I've read that in the past, that it's not a positive mindset to think food is bad. It's something you need to have control over. So that's what I'm afraid that I'll end up doing by accident. But at the same time, like with depression, when I'm super depressed, what can I do? Nothing. I gotta sit there. I gotta feel my feelings. And one breath at a time is one breath closer that I will not be so sad about my situation or whatever's going on. So there are days I literally just sit there in my sadness because there's nothing else I can do about it. There's no journaling I can do. There's nothing I can do other than just feel my feelings and let it pass.
I know for sure there's a lot of times that we need to feel what we're working through. I appreciate you sharing that. Ilana talks about in To Be Mindset that you're not bad or good for food, and there's no bad food. It's silly. She calls it silly. Like, we know something has to change to get different results. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going in the trajectory that we're going in. So I mean, I would encourage you, do you feel like you can try one of the meditations the next time you have that feeling, like one of the 4-minute I am meditations, or try one of the 5-minute dance workouts in size to just try to change the mood, like change your focus to help pull you through the wave faster?
I can definitely try that. I do in general try to meditate every night as a way to wind my crazy brain down. Even though I just increased my Paxil to help with everything in my head. That's not going to always be enough. I got to do work too. So I actually do try meditations. I actually have the Calm app, and there's several on there for addiction, and there's even some for like weight loss. Like, why do we need that sweet thing? We don't. So that's where I got the be more mindful about what you eat, and does it serve a purpose? So I'm trying to rewire my head to think like that instead.
Exactly. Yeah. Reframing it. Positive thoughts, positive people equals positive results. Because whatever we tell ourselves and whatever we focus on is what we're going to feel and what we're going to see more of. So I love that you're open to trying that. Also, in the meditations, there's a really great 11-minute weight morning mastery. It's an 11-minute weight loss hypnosis meditation that really kind of walks you through having that positive feeling.
I think I've actually done that one a couple times.
Oh yeah, I do it often. I really enjoy it. In fact, I blame that meditation for me having brown hair instead of blonde. Because in that meditation, this woman that I picture myself, this confident, like focused, strong woman, has brown hair like this. So how could I imagine my ideal self with this hair and keep getting a blonde pixie? Like, I don't know why I'm surprised I had my hairdresser change it. So
I know, like during the day, I'll go out and get like chicken eggs or something. Because my chickens, they don't lay all of their eggs all at once. So I gotta go through the day and go get them. So usually during the day, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go check out my chickens. And then that'll help me like get a change of venue for a minute.
That's a great tip. So we're right at the 30-minute mark, and I like to be mindful of time, but I also want to, if anybody had an extra share, I don't know, Taisha, Nicole, or Olivia, or Kathy, Charmaine, if anybody wanted to ask a question or give any tips or wins that they had, feel free. Teacher pause.
You're doing a great job. Great comments.
Aww.
I'll talk about a win. The fact that I actually made it onto the call tonight. That's a win for me. And so sometimes I am so I'm in the house by myself, which sometimes is a dream, but other times it becomes very interesting because there's no one to stop me on the way to wherever to get whatever I want to eat. So I thank you for sharing your thoughts, and I'm thinking about what I can do to keep me busy so that I can still watch the show that I'm watching, but have my hands occupied, or maybe treat myself to some flavored waters. So I may go pick up that, because sometimes I just want something sweet, or I just want something that just something to kind of help with my taste. And water, I've been very good about drinking water, but sometimes I've been thinking, maybe I could put make some lemonade, or so maybe like one or two, a small packet of those packets, flavor enhancers or something that limit calories. So I'm just, I'm thinking about what I might be able to do to give me something to treat myself, but yet not give into the craving of eating a whole box of whatever I'm not supposed to eat.
I love it. And Nicole was giving some great tips. I think they only came to me though. She said, the essential oils in water, you can make like a little water bar. So where you can get get your Tupperware containers and have some fresh mint and some diced limes and some oranges and ginger and lemon, and just kind of treat yourself and drink the water out of a fun glass. Like drink it out of something that you would drink wine or a hurricane or something out of. Like put it in that fun glass and add some of the seltzer water that has no sugar or anything added to it, and make it fun, and enjoy that. The only and then veggie first, veggie most. The only thing that I could say that you could be that proverbial stop yourself from doing whatever you want is you can not buy those things, so that you have to actually go spend the extra money to get something, and give yourself that time to reflect if you really want it. And I think it's exciting to find out what could Charmaine's new hobby be? What is something that you'd like to, get your fingers playing with and going in? What could you come across that might be right up your alley and, distracts you? Maybe dress up. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay. So y'all don't know this. I know everybody hasn't met everybody yet, and I'm going over, but Charmaine is and she's not showing her beautiful face. She is Mary Kay.
My PJs.
Yeah. And so what I'm thinking is you could do different shades of lipstick and eyewear and a different hat, and dress up with your fancy water and treat yourself. Dress up to watch the TV show you want to watch. And then if you're wearing more dressy clothing and you're dressed up more, and sharing more, you'll want to keep filling yourself with more positives. I don't know. I think that would be fun.
Could be. My hands
I
are
mean,
in
you have to find what's fun for you.
that might work, because I usually am not doing that when I'm watching Good Girls.
Dress up for Good Girls. Dress up for it. Put on a dress and even a heels, and have your fun glass of water, and get the bar set up with different fruits you can add to the water and essential oils, and treat yourself like the queen you are, ruling your home, and see how that feels. And then you'll start to keep feeding that. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. Love as an action from today, working through your waves, kind of paying attention to when these waves come up, that if you find something like Charmaine, if you find that thing that works for you, that you want to do, if you would share it in the group. Or if you find, Jen, if you find a way to like skip that ice cream and move things around, or what you're doing, if you find something that works for you, if you could just post it in the group and tell us what you did, so you can help the rest of us when that wave comes our way. Because something that will never go away is the waves in the oceans. These things are sure to come, and every season will bring a different level to us. So every season requires a different level. So I'm going to take us down here.